Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 4pixels. Coco and Kimi are here with Lay Fillet and Buttons. We are continuing the letter. And we left
Explain
off.
yourself, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, that was mine. Maybe we'll finally get. Maybe, hopefully.
Explain.
Like,
Explain to me!
we are at least three-fourths through the game. I want an explanation about why Luke is apparently such a bad guy other than being a racist asshole. Not that that isn't enough. That's
Yeah,
perfectly fine. But I want to know why Ashton has this opinion of him, because as far as I'm aware, Ashton doesn't know about him being a racist asshole. I don't think that Hannah would have ever told him, or would have told Best Boy.
Zachary.
Thank you. My brain is like cinnamon roll. Like, that's not his name though. I don't think she's had the opportunity to tell him about it, nor do I think she really would. So why does Ashton have such a hard on for getting Luke in trouble?
Yeah, it's a hard on for him in general, if that fanfic is anything.
I'm still so mad about that exists. All four.
So which question do you think will get us the more information? I'm
Yeah.
curious.
That's difficult.
Because I mean, the first one, what does he have to do with this? Is like specifically talking about Luke. But will Ashton say something?
My only concern is the what does he have to do with this is going to result in a, oh, so you're defending him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my concern with that particular
Explain to me.
Yeah. I think we've got at least 3 people on, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board for whatever one of the two. So
Wow! We got it right! Fucking amazing. It's been like 2 months.
I've not meant for it to sound as harsh as it does, but anger and frustration have never been a good match in me, particularly in nights like this. It's
Well,
not
you're Scottish.
it's not surprising when Ashing jerks back as if I've struck him. For a fleeting moment, something akin to hurt darts across his features, his eyes narrowing and hands closing in tightly into a fist at his sides. Then he swiftly glances away and shifts his focus on the line of trees nearby, like an answer can be gleaned from the dark expanse.
I'm really sorry, Becca.
What is it for? For the party? The vague answers he continues to give? Does it include all those times before this, the year's worth of it? You kind of brought a lot of that on yourself. Not all of that can be blamed on Ash.
true.
I don't doubt its sincerity. However, at the moment, the forgiveness he's asking isn't something I'm all too willing to hand, furious as I am. It's frankly a wonder how I can keep myself from raising my voice at him.
We'll talk about this tomorrow. And you better have a proper answer for me by then.
Damn.
There's a brief hesitation before I step away, a short moment of wanting to say more, of waiting if he has anything to add. He's only silent, eyes still trained at a distance. It is the last glimpse I see of him before I climb inside his car. If the door slams close with the same force as the anger I'm holding, its sound merely vanishes into the night, unnoticed. He follows soon after, and shortly we're on our way back to the city. Yet, even with the city's bright lights welcoming us, the dense, somber air from the mansion still lingers. The moon is almost at its highest by the time we reach Salem Well. Even after our respective heads have cooled off, the atmosphere within the car remains rife with unspoken tension. This isn't a problem so easily fixed with a few handshakes. Quite frankly, I don't know what will. Let's see.
Oh, there's two.
Let me move this to where I can see it better.
That art of Luke is weird to me.
It
It is a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
The head's a little too 2D. Friday, October 28th. As she was about to leave the party, Rebecca caught sight of a sulking Luke. She reminded him that brooding wouldn't fix anything, and that he should be with his wife instead. No, he shouldn't be with his no. I'm kidding. Before leaving the embarrassed man, Rebecca caught a glimpse of a shadow standing behind him. Oh shit! Later, Rebecca found Ashton waiting for her upon exiting the mansion. Irked because he was nowhere to be found during the entire party, she demanded to know what was going on. When he wouldn't give her an answer, Rebecca warned that they'd still talk about it some other time.
Quite frankly, I don't know what will. Ashton himself has no idea what to do when he alights and dawdles awkwardly in the middle of the car park, unsure. It almost seems like he's having an internal debate, whether he should say goodbye or mutter another apology. I could have driven him away purely out of spite the second I've gotten off. Still, old habits die hard. It's late, and Ashton's flat is in another side of the city. Irritation might still rear its head every time I look at him now, but I'm not too cruel to put him up to another long drive. Especially when he still appears as if he hasn't gotten any rest.
You can borrow the couch.
I throw the keys to my flat his way before a protest forms on his lips. Although he catches it with ease, he eyes it with a wary expression and shoots a puzzled glance my way.
You haven't been forgiven. We're still going to have that talk, believe me. But I'm not about to send you out on another drive looking like that. It's late. Go get some rest.
We're setting aside a lot of loose ends like this, but he appears to have accepted that reason, at least in the meantime. He does give me another questioning glance when I shove past him, pulling my mobile in the process.
Where are you going? I thought...
You go ahead upstairs. I need to contact Professor Andrew.
Andrew? Why would you... Oh, no. Please. Is this that thing Isabella said this morning? Again? I
Don't
already
start
gave her
now,
my word,
Ashton.
Becca. I'll look into this BRC crap. No need to drag the old guy into it.
Of course, he's still skeptical. It makes one wonder if he's even seeing anything at all. I mean, it took you a while, Becca. Figures this curse will stay away from the scoffer. But this is another loose end tonight that I can't just leave alone, Ashton's beliefs notwithstanding. It just so happens that it's one I can delve into using means other than taking a look at the mansion itself.
Ashton, do you really think I still give a shite after that stunt you pulled tonight?
No? But this is...
I kind of feel like this is one of those scenarios in which they didn't really take as much care into writing for a scenario in which Rebecca didn't invite Ashton. Because if
Yeah,
she had, her anger would make much more sense.
that's true.
I've spent so many years with him to know this is about to turn into another argument. Before he can finish it, I cut him off with a firm raise of my hand.
Look, I don't care. There are weird things happening around here. And yes, it's Isabella's brand of weird. Ghostly voices, strange sounds, and a bloody woman sitting at the back of my car. You don't have to believe me. And I no longer have the patience to convince you, so just leave me be, Ashton.
He doesn't push it, growing quiet instead, although I know he has a whole case of it prepared inside his head. But there's a reluctant shift in his movement when he steps away from our conversation. Short of climbing the stairs, he stops, turns to face me with an expression almost too... conflicted?
Are you really sure?
What?
That there was something? That you've been, seeing things?
Yes, I'm very, very certain. Now go! And you better not break anything in there. The last time I let you stay over, it was that statuette Belle gave me. You haven't even replaced that one.
Locks, statues, nothing safe from Ashton.
Ah.
The last of my reprimand goes both unheard and unanswered as he disappears behind the stairs. If things aren't as strained, he might have a quip or two about that, followed by a light banter. Instead, for a long moment, I am left staring after him. There's something in the way he asked it that nags. Coupled with his expression, the whole exchange just feels unsettling. One that doesn't fade even as I gather my thoughts and shift my focus on another, even as I dial Professor Andrews' number. And that is when it clicks. During the long wait for the professor, one stray thought emerges from the unease. Ashton has not intended for his question to be a jibe. It's concern. For what, though? For my well-being? The letter's curse? The woman I mentioned? The answers for those will have to wait, however. Finally, the call connects and Professor Andrews' voice echoes from the receiver.
Professor Andrew?
Rebecca? It's late. What can I do for you?
I know, I'm sorry, but this is a bit urgent.
After all, this is a more pressing matter. Our lives might be at stake, and we're still in the dark.
Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you to do me a favor.
Professor Andrew Clark has agreed to meet with me 2 days later in front of Lexbourne's public library. He has other commitments, but being a long-time family friend has its perks. I have my parents' connections to thank for that. Of course, I'm not the sort to impose on him often, but the situation is... well, it's not entirely bad, although it does require calling in a few favors from friends like him. Without his signature, I won't be able to gain access to the library's restricted section. If I want to get more in-depth information on the Ermengarde mansion, that is, not simply what they choose to show to the general public. As much as I hate to admit it, there's always something people censor, and whatever it is, I won't ever find it in the general section. It has to be what they're keeping here, beyond the public eye. The thought of that alone makes me antsy. Me too. Thankfully, I don't have to brood over it. The wait for the professor doesn't last long. He never did enjoy making people wait. Likewise, he dislikes people who are tardy. Same.
Same.
He arrives 5 minutes after I do, greeting me with that kind smile and casual wave of his hand. I haven't seen him in so long, but it appears he hasn't changed much. His familiar presence alone is enough for a fond smile to spread across my face.
Professor Andrew.
Rebecca! Didn't I say long ago you can drop the professor?
You know I can't possibly do that. Even if I can, it feels disrespectful to call you by your name alone.
Both you and Ashton never listen to this old man. Kids these days.
All right, but just for today, since you're doing me a huge favor, Andrew.
I guess you simply can't have it all, even at this old age. But pleasantries aren't what we're here for, yes? You mentioned you needed a permit.
Yes, sir, if that's okay with you.
More than fine. Anything in pursuit of knowledge, as they say.
He hands me the permit without further prompting. And just like he promised, he's also written a recommendation after his signature. This is more than enough to get me those files. I mutter a small thanks before slipping it into my pocket. Although when I look up, his brows are furrowed, the very face of curiosity. Not surprising considering how vague I've been during our little talk over the phone. Right there and then, I decided to tell him if he ever asks. Maybe not all of it, but stuff he needs to know. It's the least I can do to thank him. As expected, true to his inquisitive nature, he asks.
If you don't mind, though.
I will be legitimately
I
surprised
know
if this
you've
old man
always
does
been an
not die
eager
before the end of
learner.
this.
But may I know what in the restricted section that piqued your curiosity?
To be honest, a part of me is kind of weirdly suspicious of him. If only for that if only because he's appearing everywhere, and also because of that comment he made about how some people deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It's the God mansion, sir.
He's quick to raise an eyebrow at that, and for a while I fear he'll take the slip of paper back. Is there something in what I said?
The ones they have out in the general isn't enough?
I'm, hoping for a more in-depth read, sir. More about the history and the people who once lived there. The general section doesn't have anything much on that.
Oh, I see. Well, you certainly aren't the first one to be enamored with that place. It doesn't shock me. The architecture is admirable, and the urban legends are something to talk about. Why, just this past week, I've got a few asking me about that. Imagine that.
I think enamored might be a little too much to describe our interest in it. But I have to agree. The mansion is beautiful, even with the renovations. They kept the stained glass windows, too. They are magnificent.
Oh, you've seen it.
I was there for a few hours to attend a housewarming party. The invitation was for my parents, but they couldn't make it. My mum used to work as a private tutor for the Evans. Hannah, right?
Ah, I know of her. Her husband, too. Who doesn't?
He's so
Luxborn's
bitter.
the most popular couple.
Something falls behind his eyes, the warmth in them suddenly gone, like he's reliving a painful distant memory and seeing it play right in front of him. It disappears almost as soon as it surfaces, but that look has unsettled something in me.
Is something the matter?
Nothing much.
That still means something.
But you know, you're already like a daughter to me. So if you could, do be careful with the friends you make.
Is this about the rights, sir?
Just a friendly advice from an old man. Don't think much about it. Anyway, I have to leave now. Can't miss my weekly serving of bear claws. Say
Relatable.
hi to your parents at the detective inspector for me, will you? I wish you luck with all that research.
What are bear claws again? I think I already asked this, but I forget.
They're a pastry. I forget usually what they're filled with, but it's usually some kind of like icing on top, and I want to say brown sugar and cinnamon, but
That sounds good.
they are pretty good.
will.
I think bear
Thanks
claws
for
in
this,
particular
Andrew.
have nuts in them.
Andrew gives my shoulders a light squeeze, the gesture a younger me has always appreciated, and quickly crosses the street after. I watch him disappear. I watch him until he disappears behind the door to a cafe, until the doubt swimming inside my head finds a moment to rest. Whatever his business is with the rights isn't anything I should concern myself about.
Or maybe
Hmm.
it is.
But somehow, in the grand scheme of things now, all of it feels oddly relevant. The how, though, I've yet to find out. And I'm hoping the library will give me the answers I want this time. On a gloomy Sunday morning, the library is especially empty. The second floor, in particular. I've always considered this place to be a sanctuary, a respite away from the hubbub of the city. As a child, I grew up reading books here, spending hours here to no end, poring over the pages, living out fantasies in my head until my parents called me home.
Relatable.
Now, it feels nothing like it. The silence is smothering, suffocating. Even with how clean they've kept the microfiche?
Mm-hmm.
Microfiche room, how the entire small of it lacks speck of dust or clutter, breathing is a struggle for air.
Microfiche is the precursor to PDF in the sense
Oh.
of combining a whole bunch of documents into one thing. So a microfiche is like this reel that is a carbon copy of whatever document you're looking at, normally a newspaper or a magazine. And they have these special microfiche readers that you run the reel through, and it shows the bigger picture of the article.
Oh.
So if you've seen Silence of the Lambs, when she's watching that huge machine reading the old newspaper articles, that's a microfiche.
Yeah, I
Huh.
think I know what you're talking about.
Neato. Not far into my stay, I begin to long for the noise outside, and perhaps as a way to calm this unease, I start to hum a tune. Imagine that. Why, of all things, it has to be that silly nursery rhyme, I'm not an inkling.
Rip.
It does its job, however. It fills the lull with something far less awkward, far less deafening, and that is enough for a distraction. I have business here. No time for silly daydreams, only important work to attend to. Even if there's a possibility of it being fruitless, by some means I feel like I have to do it. If not for me, then for the people who have been affected by this. What do we even call this? A haunting? A Halloween prank gone wrong?
I'm really glad I didn't go with the joke that I was about to.
Oh?
I was about to be like, well, here, you see here, little miss, this is what we have called a genuine haunting.
Oh my god.
A curse? If Isabella were here, what would she say?
A conjuring, if you will.
Will she panic? Will she be angry I only listened to her now?
Yup, actually.
Probably, yeah.
It all stems from that one moment in the movie house, doesn't it? We could have avoided this had we only taken her warnings to heart. One stupid mistake is all it took to send our normal lives on a downward spiral. Frankly, I'm no longer sure if I'm angry at myself for it or at the universe for throwing us into this mess. But we can only make do of what little we have, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Going here might not be the right decision, but it's a start.
A good start.
It doesn't take much for me to find what I need. A microfiche of old newspapers, long kept in a special storage cabinet at the end of the restricted section. The year is 1620s and beyond. Before the city of Luxbourne even existed in the records, when the mansion has just been built, and Anselm is nothing more but a small, sleepy hamlet near a river. A lot of pieces are missing. Days, sometimes several consecutive weeks without any recordings remain. Often it goes on for years. Troublesome, but as it is, I'm lucky enough to find anything at all, considering how far I'm looking back. Can't be picky now. Can't waste time mulling over what record keepers of the old could have done to make this a breeze for me.
I can still work with this.
The faint whir of the microfiche machine keeps me company as I go over each slide, each image, hoping for something that goes beyond what the local lore knows. There are snippets, little mentioned of the family that once settled in the house here and there. The usual singing of praises for the couple who helped brought up what was once a tiny settlement into a buzzing town. Nothing substantial, nothing I didn't know before. It continues on like this for a good while, until I come by the years after their deaths. The people of Anselm might have loved Lord William and Lady Elizabeth Ermengarde. The people of Anselm might have loved Lord William and Lady Elizabeth Ermengarde, mourned their passing, and held them in high esteem in the years after. But it was their daughter that was remembered fondly by the townspeople. If her parents built this town, Lady Charlotte was the one who made it prosper.
Oh, shit.
Remarkable, considering it was a period of recovery from a bout of plague that killed half the town's population, including her parents.
We sure? We sure it was a plague?
Achievement unlocked, buried history. What the heck?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
Air
Oh.
puts a stop to local slave trade.
But why is the... Why does it look like the ghost?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
I wonder why.
What's surprising, though? Apparently her time also marked more than superficial changes to the place. She moved things, changed laws, altered old customs and traditions. If they were done on a woman's whimsy, it doesn't say, but she seems capable enough for more than that. The gist of it is, the town she rebuilt, it's what eventually grew to become Luxbourne City, while the nearby Anselm village remained as it was, a relic of the old. A frown swiftly forms in my face.
So, why is there a need to hide this?
One by one, I try to recall every lesson I've gone through, every book, paper, and journal I've read. None of those ever mentioned this.
Suspicious.
It's always the lord and lady of the house, their endearing child, always an afterthought to those anecdotes, the one who always took her life in the end. Never someone who restored a town from the brink of collapse or brought new ideas to it. Is it because she's a woman?
That pisses me off.
Granted, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Not all aspects of her can be considered admirable. But this is history. Some parts are bound to naturally delve into unpleasant territory, whether I like it or not. Witch hunts, for example, became common near the end of her life.
Interesting.
Oh, wow, that looks like the ghost, too.
Everyone is a ghost.
Everybody's a ghost, confirmed.
We're the ghosts.
Yep.
We've been fooling
Oh.
you guys all along.
Yep.
Goddamn.
Woo!
which would have been completely unremarkable and might have gone to become a mere footnote in history if it didn't involve Lady Charlotte and the very slave she saved. It caused quite a stir, enough to leave almost a week's worth of clippings. The girl was eventually burned, condemned by an entire town. At the word of Lady Charlotte alone. And this doesn't really have anything to do with this curse, does it?
Are you sure about that?
Unless that woman following us and this slave are the same person. A tale of revenge? How cliché. However, with the lack of accurate photographs, it's impossible to tell. Maybe if I squint, the illustration will start resembling her. But in my field, it doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. I'll be the laughing stock of the community.
This isn't going anywhere.
Mentally exhausted, I take a step away from the screen, pressing a palm to my tired eyes. The lack of ample light in this area doesn't help. A headache already threatens to form at the back of my head, yet I'm nowhere near figuring things out. This is simply too much to take in all at once. And with that, we will end this episode right here. Thank you guys for joining us, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye! Scalpels, notes, tea bags. Everything is such a mess. That's an odd thing to keep by your bedside.
The puppeteers are this guy. Known types. Seth, Lilith, lives in the true realm, purpose, control, and direct. Assigned to humans only, probably. NB can rewind time when the puppet dies. No
Maybe.
big?
No big. Yeah.
Nah, no big.
If it dies, just hit rewind. It's fine. It's fine.
The Observers, world government members, wear animal skull masks, known representatives Umbrella Man. I've heard that name before.
It's a dedication to aesthetic there.
I dig it. The puppets, also known as humans, live in the false realm, purpose to air. Known representatives me, mom, dad, classmates. Not so sure. The aliens pretend to be humans to cause less ruckus, live in the false realm. Known representatives Huxley, Bennett, Aiden, politicians.
Oh. He got like a knife and fork in his pocket. Did you see that?
Yeah. Alright. Dining room. Do we want to check out other places first? Let's check out other places first.